All right, we're live. Welcome to your Everyday Rich podcast. We're your hosts.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Jen.
Hey, AO. What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining. We got a good one today. With the holidays approaching, with New Year's on the horizon, 2023 wrapping down, 2024
Yes,
around the corner.
It's time to set some goals and plan for 2024.
Yeah. Usually everywhere around here, like businesses have already set their plans. But like from a personal standpoint, I think a lot of it, we don't really think about this until the new year.
Yeah.
I mean, it stems from this whole like New Year's resolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've kind of learned and observed successful people and just people that approach it a little bit differently. Like you're looking at it way in advance.
Yeah.
Versus planning it like Jan 1st. And then Jan 2nd comes around and you got the hangover from New Year's. And then it's already end of January. You haven't planned anything.
Yeah, and it's good to get, sometimes it's more than a day's effort, right? Yeah, it doesn't take a long time to write stuff down, but it takes, days, if not weeks, to come up with kind of a plan, right? It's not like a one-day exercise, I feel like. So getting a little bit of a head start, a little bit early, planning 2024 and 2023 is, helps you out to be successful in 2024.
Yeah, because it really helps you set the stage for the whole year and gives you a guide to what you want to accomplish. And, we've always preached looking at it like a business, and businesses use a plan to follow.
Yeah.
So today we really want to highlight basically how to plan for 2024. So how to crush your goal planning and setting up your financial goals for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we're going to walk you through how we think about goal planning.
Yeah.
And how we plan our financial goals every year.
As well as other goals too. Like financial is just one area that we look at in our lives. Like it's obviously one important area in our lives, but there's also other important aspects of our life that you want to improve on and, get better at.
Yeah. Yes. But we'll highlight the financial part just because, your Everyday Rich is really centered around money and conversations around money.
Yep.
So how to plan. And I think that's where we're going to start first. So we're going to break this up into two main parts of the discussion. First part is how to plan. And the second part is setting up your financial goals.
Yeah.
Right. So the first one we look at is creating a plan. So, how do you plan without a plan? You actually have to create a vision, but a clear vision. And if you look back on the past and reflect on kind of what's happened in the last year, that kind of gives you kind of an idea of, what went well and what you could improve on. Mm-hmm. So if you think of your own personal experiences, if you're sitting down with your own, like, let's say your employer, if you are employed 9 to 5, how do they review your end of year?
Yeah.
They just go, hey, Jen,
this is what you did well, and this is what you can improve on.
Yep.
I mean, the stuff that you can improve on, I think that's kind of like your starting point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we always want you to focus on the good things that happen too, right? Because a lot of us, we would tend to naturally focus on the bad things. Like, oh, I did not meet this goal. Mm-hmm. I did not achieve this. Mm-hmm. But put this vocabulary into this word into your vocabulary. I did not achieve this yet.
Yeah.
I love using that word now. Yet, right?
And on top of that, like not just looking at things that maybe didn't go well, but more so looking in the future. What do you want? Mm-hmm. Whether do you want to develop a skill, whatever it is that you want, it's kind of looking in the future as well, right? And that kind of isn't part of your vision as well.
Yeah. And creating your vision is really designing a lifestyle and envisioning a lifestyle that you want, not creating a lifestyle based on what you see other people doing.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's a very hard distinguishing line between those two. Like it's blurred.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What you want versus what you see, or what other people want is what you think you should want. You know what I mean? Like it's a very blurred line, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think we all fall victim to that at some point because of, social media and the availability of it. It's very easy to get trapped into this, like, wow, look at them, and compare, and then use that as your guideline.
Yeah.
Which sometimes
it's good and bad.
It is, yeah.
Right? Like sometimes you do want to pick a person or a group or a business that inspires you, right? I want to, go on a similar path as that person or that business, right? So,
and I think it's great. I mean, there are always role models that I think you should look up to.
Yeah.
And you coined this thing that you heard. It was, find your North Star, right? And well, you didn't coin it, the term, but you told me one time it was basically, find that person that is like your North Star.
Yeah.
Because often we find inspiration and motivation from people that we align with.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's celebrities, easy kind of like that, entrepreneurs, your friends, your family, whoever, right? Use them to guide you in a good, positive way.
Yep.
And really, as part of like clear vision, putting it on paper and visualizing that is such a key component.
Yeah, helps a lot.
Yeah, and we use that using vision boards, and we're a huge proponent of vision boards. We did it loosely years ago, but then like 2-3 years ago, we really actually started like thinking about that. We're joking, remember? We used to like, oh, let's get magazines, but then we're like, damn, I don't
have any magazines.
I don't want to spend $100 on magazines. I'm just gonna cut up.
Can we just print off the internet?
And then we're like, I really want this to be in color. I don't have a color printer.
I know. Oh my God. And I can't draw, so I'm not sketching.
Anyways, God bless Pinterest and Google and all these other things, and we just used work printers. Bill me later. But the power of visualization is huge. This whole thing of manifestation, I really believe in visualization, right? And whether you're a visual learner, whether you are a kinesthetic learner,
yeah.
I've always really believed that seeing it is believing it. Whether you put up a sticky note every morning and write a word of affirmation or encouragement, or you see a picture of a Lambo or Ferrari or whatever it is that drives you every day on your wall, like this, goes a long way with that visioning. So, number 2.
And what's next?
Number 2 is part of the goal planning is setting priorities. So, once you kind of establish that vision, you got to kind of set priorities now. Yeah. So, when we've looked at this, we've always been long-term planners.
Yeah, it's definitely a long-term planner, but there is a short-term to get to the long-term.
Yep.
Right? I think if you think too far ahead, maybe, or obviously when it comes to long-term goals, like obviously you're thinking about something really further ahead, maybe something that seems even out of reach.
Yeah.
Because it's so long-term, it's so far away. And that's why I feel like you have to get your vision first, the long-term vision, and then build short-term visions kind of along the journey, right, to get there. So it just makes it a little more reachable, in my opinion.
Yep.
Right? Like you cut your long-term vision until maybe 4 short-term visions. You know what I mean? Just to give yourself a little bit of a leeway to get there.
Yeah, it's almost the 12-week year, right? That book. So you chop up the goals into smaller, more obtainable, achievable goals.
Yep.
And looking at it from that, I love that perspective. But we do always want to set whether it's long term or short term, right? Because then that helps you define kind of like what you're gonna have to tackle.
Yeah.
Part part of that is also in terms of just general goals. It's like, is this a want or a need?
Mm-hmm.
And because usually wants and needs muddy up your priorities.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they pull you in different ways. It's like, you know what? Oh, man, I really, really want to do this, or I really want that thing, whatever it is, versus, you know what? I actually just need
This.
Yeah. And achieving the need is probably a lot easier than achieving the want.
Yep.
And the need actually can help be a stepping stone to getting to the ultimate want.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is that, like, you know, the generic thing of like, I want to be rich.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Right. Versus I need 10K a month
in income
to live very happily and be able to spend time with my kids and eat out and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
You know, that's, see how like more specific and achievable that is, like to get to that point.
And I think to from a priority standpoint, when you're setting goals, you have to understand that there's only so much you can do, right? So when it comes to setting priorities, understanding that if that's your goal, you know, short term, long term, whatever, there's some stuff that you will most likely have to deprioritize.
Yep.
And that's understanding what those things are and accepting that, right? You can't do everything and everything. Like I said, wants and needs, right? There are some wants that you will not be able to have because you are prioritizing your needs, right? So it's understanding and accepting that there's some things that can fall off the bandwagon, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and it's you to define that, right? Just like basically businesses will rank what's the importance of business this year. And when you look at it that way, it just makes it easier for you to follow and figure out.
It keeps you focused.
It does.
Keeps you focused. If you try to do too many things and you're trying to tackle all these things and you're not deprioritizing other things, you'll never be able to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, and that's actually another point down. So hold that thought here in terms of focus. The last thing in priorities is, you know, when you're saying like too many things pull you in different ways.
Yeah.
Your wants and needs can muddy everything in your priorities. Looking at how the wants and needs integrate with your life and what those goals, how those will integrate with your overall lifestyle. Because like you mentioned, certain goals will actually require a lot more out of you and pull you away from things that right now
or you're currently doing
and are part of your lifestyle. And I give you an example. It's saying let's just use a fitness goal, right?
Yeah.
A fitness goal of I want to blah, 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 right? I don't know, participate in an Ironman, right? And what does that mean? Like you're going to have to set a bunch of training routines that will interfere with your free time.
Yeah. Well, if you're training for Ironman, it'll definitely interfere with your free time.
Exactly. You might not be able to hang out with the boys, drink those beers, or chill out with the ladies and sip on those mimosas, if that's your thing.
Yep.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to say is that, you know, your priorities will need to be redefined.
Yep.
And that's okay because that's what you want.
And that's what you need to do.
Exactly. The third thing in terms of goal planning is being realistic.
Oh, yeah.
I hate the word realistic, but I couldn't find a different word to use.
I think it's important. I think sometimes like, and I especially see it on social media, is like, oh, shoot for the stars. I'm like, okay. But you know how discouraging it is when you like shoot for your stars and you never actually achieve what you want to achieve because it's not possible.
Yeah.
A, you don't have the time, you don't have the money. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's very discouraging for any person to set a goal so high, and not to say like you're diminishing yourself. It's just, it's so high that it's almost impossible to achieve.
Yeah. And it conflicts a lot with what I'm going to call these social media gurus, like successful people will use for clickbait.
Yeah.
And essentially say like this whole, was it BHAG?
Yeah. How to make $1 million in 6 months. I'm like,
big, hairy, audacious goals.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like you create these massive visions for yourself, which I do agree with. You want to create big goals.
Yeah.
but sometimes these goals require multiple steps to get there.
Yeah.
And multiple years.
It's a long term.
It's the long-term vision, and
Yeah.
people are focused so much on wanting the long-term to happen
Within a year.
or as a short-term goal. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you're not understanding that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So maybe this is it, like setting achievable goals and targets could actually help you sustain the momentum
Yeah.
with the little wins.
Yep.
And it's just like business. So when we're setting like
Revenue or like,
targets or whatever, you know, we had a executive with us who wasn't really totally business oriented and wasn't able to convey with upper management to say like, oh yeah, 100% year over year revenue every year, no problem. 75%, no problem. It's like, how do you achieve that every year, especially when the market was like getting flat?
Yep.
So it became unrealistic, and it set such a high standard that even though you achieved, let's say 75% of making 100% of your revenue goals,
Yeah.
but you were already more than 50% of your last year goals.
Yep.
It's the whole thing. Shoot for the stars, hit the moon.
Yeah.
What happens if the stars are so far that
So far.
you don't even hit the moon?
Yeah.
So-
It's just a discouragement, I think,
Yeah.
to be honest. So setting realistic goals, you know, yes, shoot for the stars, but make sure the time frame
Yes.
to get to those stars makes sense.
Yes, that's a great point.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's okay to have this big vision, but be realistic about the time frame for it.
Yep.
Right? So set the shorter goals to get to the bigger goal.
Yeah. And while we were mentioning priorities, you talked about like the focus of goals, right? Or focusing on what to do.
Yeah.
And number 4 is being hyper focused.
Yep.
Which is setting a smaller amount of achievable SMART goals will help you hyper focus. Because when you have too many goals, you're pulled left, right, and center.
Yeah.
And you're not able to sorry, how do I say this? It dilutes your efforts when you're trying to do too many things.
Yeah.
It's the whole jack of all trades, master of none.
Yep.
Right? Whereas if you just go, you know what? My goal is the Ironman. I'm not going to do Ironman, Ultraman,
Run a marathon.
Burning Man, whatever mans you want to do. Like,
Burning Man is just
I know.
it's just an event where I don't know. I don't know what they do at Burning Man.
You're too old to go to Burning Man, okay?
I don't even know what they do at Burning Man.
We have to ask our younger friends. But essentially, just like most businesses don't have 1,000 goals, right? They don't have 100 goals or 50
No.
goals. They have like 4,
Yeah.
and they super target them to be able to focus the resources that they have
To achieve.
to achieve those.
Yep.
Yeah. Number 5.
Connect with people in the field or experts in the field.
Yeah.
So if someone else is doing what you want to be doing, go talk to them. How did you do it? How did you approach it? You know, what kind of things did you do every day, every week, every month to get to what you're doing?
Yeah. And a lot of us are I think sell ourselves short in reaching out to people and feeling like no one's going to help.
Yeah.
You know, you might hear someone online say, "Oh, I'm too expensive to be able to pick up a phone call and
Yeah.
help someone." The reality is that most people aren't like that.
Yeah.
If you're able to leverage your connections and just try, you'll get rejected a few times because, realistically, people are busy. But if you genuinely approach it with some curiosity and saying, like, this is what I'm trying to do, and I know you've gone through this or you've been there, people are willing to help. That's what people want. People want the success to spread, right? And it's related back to your own experience. Like when you're when you're going through your career, right, and you're trying to build certain skill sets or whatever, you usually have a mentor.
Yeah.
Right. And we always go to the mentors or whoever are more senior in your field for advice. We're never afraid to ask it.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're outside of work,
Yep.
everyone's like, oh, geez, I'm so scared that someone was going to think I'm stupid.
And you know what? Someone might,
Yeah.
but who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? If that person doesn't want to help you, ask the next person.
Yeah, exactly.
No shame.
Yeah. Like there's not just one person that does that.
No, there
Right.
isn't.
Yeah. And then as part of this, because we're very big proponents on financial literacy and building your wealth through multiple means and entrepreneurship and all this other stuff, is invest in financial knowledge. Number 6 is invest money into learning about financial literacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if it's trying to understand a bit more about real estate investing, go find someone that can help you and maybe pay them.
Yeah.
There's tons of groups out there that you could pay cheap memberships to be part of.
Yeah.
Or
take courses.
You want to learn about the stock market? Man, tons and tons of
Yep.
things you can learn. But are you looking to become a better leader or maybe a storyteller? I've heard a lot of people they go to, what's the thing? Toastmasters.
Toastmaster, yeah.
Right? So there's other things that you can take. Like, don't stop spending money on learning just because you're not in school anymore.
Yeah. Investing in yourself, right?
Pay to get education.
Mm-hmm.
You do not rely on just free stuff because it's very hard to filter between the bullshit and the legit
And what's real.
knowledge. And I guess lastly for us and how we would plan, basically goal plan, is write this at the very end of your planning, is make sure you do one thing that's going to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah, something you're uncomfortable with.
Yeah. Because we can do all these things in terms of, I got a vision board, I got priorities, and I made them realistic, and they're smart, and I'm hyper-focusing them because I only got 2, and I paid for a coach. But if you don't do something that puts you out of your comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
you're just going to do the exact same thing that
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, do this with some caution. Do it so that it doesn't cripple you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? I don't mean physically. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Back to the running man.
More so financially, too,
Yeah,
right?
back to the running man thing, or
Yeah.
not running man, the Ultraman.
It could cripple you, but anyways.
Yeah, but yeah, don't go crazy and put all your money into I don't know, polka dot crypto or something, right? But hey, shout out to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, nice run, eh? And that's how we look at goal planning, how we structure it, and how maybe it gives you some ideas. And like we were mentioning, so part 2 of this is giving you a bit more examples on like some financial goals.
Yeah.
So we kind of gave you a roadmap of how to plan some stuff. How we actually look at it is in 4 buckets. And Jen, we read this through somewhere else, but you really kind of had set up the framework for us a few years ago.
Yeah. So like when it comes to goals, like, you can just pick 3 goals. But for me, like, I like to goal plan in various aspects of my life. Obviously, financial is one of them, is one, call it bucket, that I set goals under. Then I also have health goals, right? What kind of things I want to do to improve my health or maintain my health, essentially, right, for the year. And then I have one for like personal development. So as you said earlier, investing in myself.
Yeah.
What do I want to develop, this year for myself? Whether it's, things, new skills I can use for my career at work, new skills I could use, from a financial standpoint, new skills I can use for fun, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So kind of personal development is kind of like what I categorize that. And then the last one is relationships. how do I improve my relationships, right? Because there's always room for improvement there, right? Whether it's relationship with my husband, relationship with my kids, with my friends, like what do I want to do there to improve those things?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the 4 buckets that we use to define our goals. So we usually, have 1 or 2 things under each section to write down and to, that's a kind of our vision for the year.
Yeah. And what we recommend is for those 4 buckets, you could add more buckets, right? It's really up to you to add as many buckets as you want. What we found is when you add too many buckets, they start overflowing, or no,
they're kind of overlapping too, right?
Yeah, they overlap. You can't fill enough into the bucket.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the dilution of your efforts, right?
Yep.
Do what you feel like into those categories, add, subtract, whatever it is. So it's just a framework that we found works really well for us.
Yeah.
Because it connects so many parts of our lives together. Next part here if we segue is now, because Everyday Rich is really based on living room conversations about money and creating that wealth and that lifestyle for yourself, we thought we would give you some ideas and how we would approach 2024 financially with some goals.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to plan, you got the structure and the framework from the first half of this. Now you're thinking, you know what? Hey, how do I approach money? Money is really important to everyone, I hope. But I really wanted to get better at this and kind of set that roadmap for myself.
Yeah.
And like I said, the small, little short-term goals.
Yep.
Right. So what are we going to do for 2024? What's the first thing? What's the first thing that we would do?
A lot of common goals. A lot of people will probably the same thing is debt pay down, right? Pay down a debt, right? Whether it's a line of credit, it could be a Visa card, whatever. Especially in this high interest environment right now, you're at 6-7% right now on a line of credit. It's a big chunk of change that you're paying monthly on whatever it is that you borrowed, right? So how do you approach debt pay down?
Well, go back to a few episodes. I don't know which episode. I gotta see. I wish I could remember the episodes. But we do have the debt pay down methods of Snowball or Avalanche.
Yep.
We won't reiterate these here, but because we don't know where interest rates are going, and having to carry the burden of high debt payments really takes a toll on people. It's never been more important now, where back in the day when money was very free, people said, don't pay down your debt, which might have made sense, especially if it was investing, right? But now people are faced with a different scenario. So this whole Dave Ramsey of no debt is actually looking at it a little bit better. Yeah. However, I still think that you just need to cautiously utilize debt. So there's a time to fully leverage, and there's a time where you need to learn, okay, you know what? I'm going to start trying to pay some of this off so it lightens the burden.
Yeah.
Number 2, consider diversifying your investing strategy. And I say consider because, when you say the word diversification, everyone's like, you don't need to diversify. Why would you diversify?
That's such a phrase that just gets thrown out there.
Yeah.
You should diversify your portfolio. Like people just throw that term. It's like, okay, so what do you mean by that?
A diversified portfolio just means no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah, like I feel like it's just a coined term that everyone uses.
Which when looking at it holistically, it helps you offset volatility. That's all it does, right? Diversification helps you smooth out volatility, or allows you exposure when certain market segments aren't doing so well.
Yep.
And when you're faced with economic headwinds with, let's say, real estate or the real estate sector, if all your eggs are in real estate and you're fully leveraged to the max, you got no opportunities to say, I don't know, invest in the tech market of stocks or crypto or
utilities. Boring utilities.
who knows, right? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying is it doesn't necessarily mean if you're all stocks going to real estate, or if you're all real estate going to stocks, or if you're all this going to another thing. It means look into different strategies within that asset class.
Yeah, different sectors.
Yeah.
Like you can diversify your portfolio in stocks.
Yeah, you don't have to be all tech or all
Yeah.
consumer goods or all utilities.
Yeah. You will notice that there are certain sectors that go up and then certain sectors that go down at the same time, right? Depending on what it is.
And in opposite cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Money in the stock market is just basically money flowing from sector to sector in different cycles. So, but yeah, just it's essentially you want to be able to capital, or at least if you truly believe that all your money should be out and working, then make sure it's got an opportunity to work in different areas when you are faced with challenges in the main thing that you're doing.
Yep.
Number 3 for financial goals for 2024 is build cash.
Yeah. And this is specifically for 2024 because of the economic situation we are in right now.
Yeah, and I said this in 2023 as well. Entering 2023, one of the focuses was for us to build our cash reserves.
And have liquidity.
Exactly, because there was this whole concern of rising interest rates and all this stuff, and some
there still is rising
looming recession, which may or may not come. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
But when the borrowing rates are so high, the ability to obtain loans become harder. The stress test makes it harder.
Yeah.
If you're living in Canada and you're listening from Canada here, 60% of all mortgages are going to renew in 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Craziness.
So liquidity is your lifeblood to opportunities.
Yep.
Cash is king
in this time.
In these environments, it helps you stay afloat. Even though this argument of, more
Cash
money being printed, inflation is devaluing your money.
It is.
It is.
It is for sure.
It's
not. That's not wrong. It is being devalued right now.
It helps me sleep at night knowing that I got bullets in the chamber.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not over leveraged to the wazoo.
Yep, for sure.
Does that even make sense? Over leveraged to the wazoo?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Number 4. Spending more on things that bring you joy.
Why do you sound like a robot?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty simple one. And that should apply to any year, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not 2024. It should apply every single year. That should be on your list, is figuring out what brings you joy. And that should be part of your goal planning process.
Yeah. And
what makes you happy.
And I think the common theme for 2023 was dialing back spending because of the rise of inflation.
Yeah.
Listen, we're never going to be able to stop inflation, right? That's an economic thing that you just don't have control with. And like I always said, you don't try to focus on things you can't control. Focus on the things you can. And traditional financial advice is always cut.
Yeah.
Right? Avocado toast, you can't have that. $7 lattes, you can't have that. Well, which I think you shouldn't because it's a fucking ripoff. But if part of Everyday Rich that we've defined is things that make you happy.
Yeah. And
sometimes it's, in the consumer world, it's the stuff we buy. And if you like, let's say, example, clothes. You like nice clothes. Okay. But you don't like fancy cars. Then spend your money on the things that make you happy.
Yep.
Understanding that you don't blow your whole paycheck and your income on just clothes.
All clothes. Yeah.
Right. But, example we like to use is we really prioritize the experiences on our vacation with our kids. Right. We don't care about spending our physical money, if it's not points, on room upgrades. Because 99% of the time we are not in the room. We are there literally to shower,
to sleep,
and use the bathroom.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
But, we spend more time and money in things
Doing
outside
the activities.
of that.
Like
Exactly.
doing activities, yeah.
That's right. Excursions, all that stuff. Number 5 is kind of piggybacking on the
Number
whole
4.
spending more.
Yeah, spending more on things that you want and cutting out things that you don't want.
Exactly.
Comes hand in hand. You have to do, if you're going to spend more in one area, right, it only makes sense for you to cut in another area.
But not just cut, just cut for the sake of cutting because you have to. It's like really say, you know what? No, I
don't need it.
I absolutely this does not bring me joy.
Yeah.
Cut it out. Right? Cut it out. And do not second guess it. Number 6 in your in 2020 in financial goals for 2024, differentiate investing from a business. And the way kind of I try to frame this is the last 4 years, investing has become this hot thing, right? Especially in real estate and stock market. And
because it's been a bull market. That's why.
It's been up and down, and it's been this crazy like recovery.
Yeah.
But investing is not traditionally a business that's going to make you get rich fast, right? And when you differentiate, let's say, investing in the stock market to trading in the stock market, or investing in real estate, and then thinking, oh, you know what? This real estate, this slow and steady, boring real estate, is not making me enough money that all the gurus told me. I can't pay I can't
live off of
this.
Yeah.
Because economic conditions have changed. Because it's not a business. Investing in real estate is not a business. However, if you have supplementary
cash
business
flow,
if you actually have what's this called? Like if you actually create a business within that asset class of investing, like property management, or you're flipping, which is active income, then it becomes a business.
Yeah, because you have actually revenue.
Yeah.
Right? Consistent revenue coming in like a business, right?
That's right. Yeah. And lastly here, in terms of planning your financial goals for 2024, is stop thinking the whole get rich quick. Yeah. Really get that out of your mind. And with 2020 and 2021, those were anomalies in the market, in every market, stock market, crypto market.
It's not how it works.
The watch market, auto market, like everything, real estate. Like you could have just bought something and it just went up, right? Yeah. And you would have thought, oh my God, I'm going to be fucking rich. I'm going to be filthy rich. And then guess what happened? Bam! 2022 reality just kicked you in the nuts. Yep. And said, hold on, let me hold my beer. Let me take that back. So
as I mentioned earlier, like it's long-term vision, right? Like it's not a short-term vision thing.
Yeah. And the whole thing is building wealth is a slow accumulation of assets. But also doing it consistently over, like you said, a long period of time. Yep. Like, because you can have these huge wins one year and then all of a sudden gone the next. Yep. But if you look at the most successful investors or the most successful people that built their wealth, they did it over long periods of time, slowly. And it's very hard for us to like tell us, oh, you know what? That's actually the best way to do it. Because everyone sees someone that's rich now. Yeah. Right? And the rich people aren't going to tell you, oh, well, it took me 20 years to get here. No. Right? And if you are looking to get rich, investing's not going to get you rich now. So look into other things. Yeah. Like creating businesses. Because that's what I think ultimately will, if you want to get rich, your job is just, your goal is to want to get rich. Start thinking of some business ideas. Solve some people's problems and sell it for more than you make it for. That is all you need to think about. That's it. That's literally business 101. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't leverage and utilize the skill sets and the position you have right now, let's say in a 9 to 5, to build on that as well. Like, it doesn't mean go all in on entrepreneurship just because you want to become rich. You could still get pretty wealthy doing some things with your job.
Yep. 100%.
Again, back to what you want.
What makes you happy?
What makes you happy? Stop listening to people that are crafting a vision for you.
Yeah.
Listen to you. And we want to leave and wrap this up with, we wanted to share with you how we went through this and how we continue to evolve this. This is an evolution. Every year we refine it, we tweak it, and we try to
we're no experts.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get better ourselves, and we're just sharing like things that we do and we think about during this process.
Yeah.
Right.
And ultimately we ask ourselves this as well, is remember why you're doing this.
Yeah.
When 2023 comes around and you're celebrating New Year's for 2024, remember why you're there celebrating. And it's the same thing with your financial goals and your goal planning. Remember why you're ultimately doing this. And that will help you, point you towards your North Star. And then we wouldn't be fair without leaving you with this. You're talking to me this when we were preparing for this whole thing about, like, we could do all this goal planning, but there's one thing that you need to do after you've planned everything.
Just take action. Do what you were going to say you're going to do.
Yep.
Right? And when it comes to that, it's harder than what's said, right? So for me, a lot of times whatever action it needs to be to get to that goal is to put that action into a routine, right? And I've seen this, and I've gotten this tip from other people that I've heard about is, if whatever that action is, put that action into a routine. And what's defined as a routine? A routine is something that you do, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. Put whatever that action is in your routine, and then eventually that routine becomes a habit, right? Actually, I think this is from maybe Atomic Habits.
It is.
Maybe, is it? Maybe I know I read it from somewhere. I can't remember exactly
is.
where it is. Routine becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, that's when you see your growth.
Yep.
Because now it is instilled in you. So whether it's, let's call it a health goal, right? There's something that you need to do daily, whether it's, eat healthy, I'm going to go work out every day, whatever. You're going to put that action of working out every day in your routine, your morning routine, your after work routine, your evening, whatever it is, right? Until it becomes a habit.
Yep.
Now working out is a habit for you, right? And that's where the growth happens.
Yeah. And in between there, sprinkle a little bit of pain, sprinkle a little bit of sacrifice, sprinkle a little bit of frustration. But that's all part of developing the habit to allow you to get to your ultimate goals.
Yeah.
And, fitness is a very common one, especially around the New Year's. But if I want to kind of reiterate this whole financial piece is, I get a lot of comments of, I don't know how to start investing. I want to invest in the stock market. I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to just say, well, look into this S&P 500 ETF or go, research companies or etc. But even way, way, way back, right? You can read all the things, but the small action of saying, you know what, I'm going to read about this company or this ETF, and then I'm going to do it once a week, and then put that into your routine, and that becomes habit. And then now you start picking up and reading about the stock market every single week, or you subscribe to a morning newsletter during your breakfast or whatever, on your way to work or whatever it is, right? It
Read
becomes
it every
a routine.
morning. Yeah.
And then after 6 months, you'll be like, oh shoot, I learned so much more.
Yeah.
And then the next thing leads to, okay, now I'm going to actually start putting some money into something, right?
Yeah.
Starts with $100, then $200 and blah, 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 and yada, yada. So hope you get the idea. I hope this was helpful in potentially for you planning your goals, crushing your goals in 2024, and really setting the stage for your financial journey in 2024 and beyond.
Mm-hmm. To infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Toy Story reference.
But anyways, listen, guys, we appreciate your support and everyone here, and go pay the fee, share this, like this, give us a 5-star review. Come on, just like Uber, you give your Uber drivers 5-star review without even thinking about it. Help us out, and we hope to inspire and bring more of these living room money conversations to millennials that look like you or don't look like, that look like us or don't look like us, so that we can continue to inspire and create more wealth for everyone, so that they can live their everyday rich.
Go crush your goals, guys.
All right, go crush your goals. 2024 is coming. I'm going to be sleeping because I don't party New Year's anymore. And I will be comfy toasty like Homer Simpson when he misses church.
Sipping on our champagne.
Champagne, yeah, right. All right, everyone.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
See ya.
Peace.
Your Everyday Rich podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Any such information or other material should not be construed as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a qualified professional.